Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you measuring?
Yeah, we're measuring.
Okay.
Full time.
You're allowing mom to cook with you?
No, she measures for me, and then I put it in the bowl so that it happens, correct.
I know you're a method cooker.
Oh, big time.
Hey guys, it's Nia. I'm back with another recipe drop where me and the Test Kitchen team from Food52 bring you new recipes every week. Today we're doing a special Mother's Day feature and I'm here with my mom, Tove.
Hi.
And in her kitchen, and we are gonna make one of her favorite cookie recipes today. Do you wanna tell us about it?
Very excited. So we're gonna make a version of a cookie that's one of my favorites. It's called Schackrutor in Swedish.
Checkerboard.
I think translate that and you have chess square.
Mm-hmm. Like a checkered cookie.
Yeah, checkered cookie, yeah. Kind of like a retro-looking chocolate and vanilla cookie.
Mm-hmm. So we're changing the recipe a little bit, changing the classic up, and we're making them with oat flour, which she made herself, home ground oat flour.
Not that difficult, but a lot less expensive than what you buy in the bag in store.
Very true. Yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So let's get started. Okay, so we are making these with oat flour because my mom is gluten-free actually. When you want to use oat flour instead of all-purpose flour for a recipe, you have to alter it a little bit because oat flour absorbs moisture more readily than all-purpose flour. Mm-hmm. So we actually have to reduce the typical amount of flour, which would be 3 cups, by 25%. So we're gonna do, and this is also in grams by the way, so weights always when you're trying to alter recipes. So we're gonna do 2 cups and 2/3 of a cup. So I'll give this to you.
Okay,
so this is 3/4, remember that.
How many are we doing?
Kind of broken. So we're doing 2 of those.
Mm-hmm. Oopsie. Okay. Mm-hmm. 2 of those. It's okay. There you go.
2 of these. Because this is 1/4, so this is 3/4. Now we're doing 2/4 to get to 2 cups.
Some very serious math going on here.
My mom and I actually don't bake very often together.
I'll say we bake a lot separately.
She's more of a method baker, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, I have a diagnosis. It's method baker. But so we both enjoy baking. I probably have baked less lately because of the gluten free sort of interest, but I do appreciate a good cookie and I love the opportunity to revert a regular recipe into a gluten-free one. So I think that's very exciting. And this is one of my favorite ones.
Depending on the type of cookie, it's very easy to substitute oat flour and oats, I think. To reiterate, 2 cups and 2/3. And this is also, you made this oat flour.
Yep, so it makes it really, it's easy to make oat flour. You just use a, what do they call it again?
A blender.
No, my specific blender.
A Vitamix?
No, the other one.
NutriBullet.
Yes, NutriBullet. So NutriBullets are really great and you just buy lots of oats and you just crush the oats in a NutriBullet and that would make a great oat flour.
Now we're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Det är denna.
Så
bara halva den.
Det är en fjärdedel. We're actually using salted butter for this recipe. That's why I'm using 1/2. So if you were using unsalted, I would recommend using a whole teaspoon of salt. We're gonna use vaniljsocker.
Ja.
She brought this with her from Sweden.
It's literally just a fine sugar with vanilla essence in it. So how many of those are we using?
Was that the 1/2? So two of those. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla sugar. If you don't have vanilla sugar, I mean, it is hard to find in the US. I don't even have that in my own apartment, so I would just use 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Or if you want to use a teaspoon of vanilla bean instead, if you have that. Can you put the butter in the saucepan?
Yep.
Right behind you. So we're also melting 2 sticks of butter for this. So this is basically just like a shortbread cookie. What is it called in Swedish?
Mördegskaka. Yeah, that's the same thing. So it's like you can make a lot of different cookies based on the same recipe, like shortbread.
What she said.
Yeah.
Exactly. For shortbread cookies, if you want it to be really crumbly, which I feel like most shortbread cookies are, you would use cold butter because using cold butter prevents more gluten formation. And the more gluten formation there is, the chewier they're going to be. However, with oat flour, since they are actually gluten-free, there is not going to be any of that gluten development anyway. Because oat flour is a little bit drier anyway.
It is.
It is, yeah. So if we used really cold butter, it's going to be like extra crumbly. So that's why we're melting the butter for this.
Jaha.
Yeah.
So melted butter just like heats it up and
It just
adds
makes it a
more
little
liquid.
like, yeah, exactly. It soaks up to the oat flour a little more than if we used cold butter.
Oh yeah, melting butter is almost melted.
Why did you guys choose this recipe for Mother's Day?
Well, I choose it because I think that it's a really great little cookie and it's easy to make. It's not that complicated, but it looks festive. It also goes under the name
That's
Arty
amazing.
cookies. Traditionally, if you go to a nice coffee party or like a fika event in Sweden, then if it's a really good one, you typically have 7 types of different cookies, and this is clearly one of them.
Isn't it called a, vad heter det, kafferep?
Kafferep, that's an old definition. Like probably you had kaffereps in 1950s, but now you call it fika.
And I feel like these are also kind of your specialty.
These are definitely my specialties. I think that
Yeah.
when you have a very vanilla-ish, and then you combine that with the opposite, the really dark, deep cocoa, where I tend to add more cocoa than you do.
We had
But-
this debate when we were testing the recipe.
Those two sort of contrast, and then it is also based on a butter dough. So butter obviously is good with anything. And yeah.
Okay,
So what do we do with this butter now?
Pour it into this, and then we're gonna add some brown sugar. Why did you want to use brown sugar for this recipe instead of regular?
I think it's, for me, I mean, I'm not really 100% sure that brown sugar is better for you than white sugar, but it just gives me that feel good sense. Yeah, so I know.
Brown sugar usually makes the cookies spread a little bit more too.
Spread
actually.
out.
But so brown sugar will usually make a cookie a bit chewier too. These are shortbread cookies though, so you're not going to see any chewiness in these. They might just be a little bit more tender in a way.
So we're looking at tender oatmeal cookies.
Kind of tender-ish, buttery oat flour shortbread cookies. So 2 very packed 4th cup,
Okay, I'm just going to do
Brown
this with my
sugar.
hands. So packing it like that.
and then we're also going to add an extra tablespoon or 2.
I didn't really make them with a recipe, so I made something similar to this, but that's why I want to have a professional, I just wing it when I make those. So it's good to have some facts.
What are you going to do for Mother's Day this year?
I am probably going to ask my whole family to work in the garden with me or take a walk on the mountain that's nearby.
Okay, we're going to mix this together.
One fun memory I have with these cookies is that they're also the same recipe as making pinwheels. When my mom turned 50, I used my artistic
Dad,
talent
you can come
to
over. You can put it over here.
make a...
Sorry, we got to pause. My dad just got here with the pizza.
Got pizza.
Anyhow, so... Yeah, one of the fun memories I have with this was that I was making a 5-0 of the chocolate part, and it stood out in the white part, which is really nice so we had
what?
for grandma's
Oh, yeah.
birthday, 50th birthday.
Oh my god, you have one?
Bye.
No way! That's crazy.
Oh my god, is it really
Oh, look at
from
this,
that
50.
year?
She made these for who would you
Excuse
say?
me.
Whose birthday?
That was my mom's birthday. She now turned
Oh, yeah.
75.
Wasn't
These
that for
cookies.
me?
Oh,
It's
maybe
gotta
this
be
for
from
you.
you.
It was my
Yeah, that was
birthday.
only 5
It
years
was for
ago.
my dad's
Okay,
birthday.
yeah.
This is the
Well-
color of them. If it's like made with normal like flour and white sugar, they're gonna look very different. Also because they're gonna have a different shape. But that's funny.
That has a little bit of old patina on it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it tastes very good.
Okay, so I'm gonna
In the background right now in the video. Crossover.
Okay, I'm gonna add
Okay.
the oat flour. At first, the dough is gonna be kind of soft just because the butter is melted. But as the butter kind of cools, it's gonna harden and look more like a dough. So you might be tempted to add more oat flour, but don't.
It's gonna soak up the
Yeah,
liquid
exactly.
very
It's
fast.
gonna soak up the butter and it's gonna harden a little.
It does that, especially when I make pancakes. I notice it that if you let the pancake dough sit if you don't make the pancakes right away, if you make them with oat flour, then they get really dry.
Yeah, this is gonna harden a little bit, but we can put half of this in this other bowl and then we'll put cocoa in it.
Det ser väldigt lös ut.
Jag vet, men det var så här igår. These are also meant to be less, like not super sweet, so on the less sweet side. So you can, if you want them sweeter, you can definitely add more sugar if you want.
So then I'm gonna use, hur mycket är detta?
En fjärdedel.
Den fjärde, okay. 1/4 of a cup of cocoa in half of the mixture. There you go, because it's gonna get real dark.
This looks so good.
which is when it gets really good. You want to have that deep chocolate taste. And the salt, it's really good.
This probably has to sit for like 5 minutes just to kind of stiffen up a little bit. The one thing with these, though, if you're using oat flour, you could turn these into like pinwheels if you're using the regular recipe with all-purpose flour and regular sugar. But because this dough is a little bit more crumbly and a little looser, it might be hard, right? It might be hard to roll them into pinwheels. So we're gonna stick to just like the regular checkered pieces.
Unless you make a very big cookie. I think you can do it, like
Yeah.
very large pinwheels, like this.
That's true, maybe. How do you think we should roll these out?
Perhaps we'll get some parchment paper. I think it's better to have this because it's going to get stick to the table.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, you can see it's kind of firmed up a lot more now. But I feel like I usually don't see these in cafes when we go to Sweden. Like, they're not really a cafe cookie, right?
Well, you do, but if you see them, it's usually like a cafe that's focused on retro style. So it's like a retro cookie. Yeah, which you'll
Makes
see that
sense.
they look it too. Okay, so then you take the logs and place them next to each other like this, and then you do the opposite on top. Because you can form it a little bit like that. Now they're actually quite soft. Okay, so nu har vi, this is the,
Men vi måste väl platta ihop den lite mer också.
yeah, usually
So, yeah, now we're gonna make it into like more of a square.
just takes a few back and forth of kind of just like hand shaping it
Yeah.
out so that it sort of gets a little longer.
They're good for if you're having a lot of people over for fika, or if you, because you could make them pretty small, or you could just easily double the batch and you could just cut them really thinly. And so, yeah, you can, it's easy to make a lot.
It's easy to make them ahead of time, so you can
Yeah.
actually put the dough in the freezer and just take it out and cut it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, det finns ett hål där.
ja, jag såg
There's a
den.
little hole.
Så det är inte det. We are most definitely going to need to put this into the freezer because it's actually
Yeah.
looking quite warm.
Let's pop it in the freezer for even just 10 minutes.
10 minutes will be
Yeah,
fine.
that'd be fine. Okay, want to get the cookie dough?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see what we got.
Is it feeling firm?
Yeah, feeling better. All right.
Okay.
Looking good. So this is not your usual cookie cutting knife, but it's really good.
I feel like we have to cut off the ugly ends.
Yeah. Wanna try? If it's not,
Okay, you're doing it so hard. We probably could have let the dough sit in the freezer for a little longer, but it's okay.
that's why I did it so fast. Because it's like I could feel how it was gonna get loose really quickly. And then you turn it around to just like have it not be so soggy.
Okay, du får fortsätta. How far apart should
I
it
don't
be?
know, try 4 and then we see if we can get it right with 4 all along.
Okay, all of them. It's a nice pattern though.
I think my family members in Sweden who are used to the cookie with regular flour, they would probably comment on this as, they look very healthy.
Yeah, so if you're
And
if
hearty.
you're Swedish and you're watching this,
Yes.
how are we gonna make them? What temperature?
380 degrees
Oh.
on.
I only preheated the oven to 350.
Bump up the temperature and we'll do
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay, so our cookies are done. This is actually a swap that we made. But it's gonna be the same thing. They look a little bigger. They are a lot more golden brown than what they would be, like what the traditional cookie is, right?
Yeah.
Like because of the oat flour and because of the brown sugar.
Yes.
And they're usually a little smaller.
The one thing is that they look more granular than
Yeah.
the flour ones does.
It's more like a biscuit than like a cookie. This is such a nice cake plate. Where's this from?
Ja, that happens to be from AO Glass, our glass factory on Pine Street. AO Glass has been in business since 2007. That's when we moved here to Vermont.
Yeah. You can now buy these on food52.com. Ooh, that's pretty. Nice little circle. All right.
Oh, yes, I think that I'm pretty pleased with if this was what I was presented at
Yeah.
for Mother's Day, that would be a delight.
Oh, okay. I feel like I like the light part more than the chocolate part.
I think the combination,
Yeah, okay.
and it's all in the butter.
Oh no.
Very buttery.
Very
It's good.
very buttery.
I personally like the oat flour-iness. I don't think they taste exactly like
They
their
do
traditional
not.
ones, I don't think
No.
they have to though. I think they just like,
They're more coarse.
yeah, they're more coarse. They taste like, yeah,
Oat.
yeah,
They
oaty.
do taste like a healthier version of
They do, like a healthy biscuit.
them.
Yeah. So would you dip this in oat milk?
Not dip it, but I will drink a full glass of oat milk with it because it does. It's very buttery and heavy, so it does call for a glass of oat milk.
It does.
So I have to thank you for baking those cookies with me and for showing me the how it's done with measurements.
With oat flour.
And oat flours, yeah. So
Thank you for watching our Mother's Day recipe drop feature. Like, comment, and subscribe. And you can find this recipe for, what are they called?
Schackrutor in Swedish.
Down in the description below. Maybe Tova will see you in another video in the future. I'll see you next week though.
Thank you.